China wields the ban hammer on Aussie coal. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee and let's look at this article from news.com.au discussing, well, our demands for answers as the Global Times confirms Aussie coal import ban. Now it seems to be one thing after another with regards to China sending, well, a message to Australia. Tariffs, bans, limitations, quotas on different exports that we're sending over there. It's going to have an impact, guys. It definitely will. And coal, well, let's just have a look at what coal is in our economy here. If we jump over to the Observatory of Economic Complexity, we can see coal is 23.1% of our exports. 23.1%. And I'll just click on that. And you can see 18.6% of the coal we export actually goes to China. So that's a significant chunk, nearly 20%, everyone. You know, a big chunk of it. We're sending it to India and to Japan as well. Now, if we look at coal as a product, you know, it is, what's its world trade? It's 16th in the world of trade, 142 billion. We're the top exporter with 57.2 billion of it. And the complexity of it, it's only ranked, well, 963 in the world. This is the problem with Australia's economy, everyone. We're not a very complex economy. Sure, the way they pull the coal out, maybe with the robotic trucks and all of these things, that's complex, but coal in itself isn't. You could get it with a pick. People have been using it for, well, since ancient times. But we export 40% of the coal in the world. And then number 2 is Indonesia, then Russia, and then the United States. So we're a big coal exporting country. Well, we're the biggest. And a lot of that comes from Queensland and New South Wales. Iron ore is in Western Australia. Queensland here, we're coal. I've had projects that we've worked on for coal mines, everyone. They've helped me, well, start my business and buy my house. So I'm all for coal. Fantastic coal. So let's have a look. I mean, just think about it. If China bans Australian coal, and, you know, they source it from other countries, maybe Indonesia, and the composition of the coal is different to ours, so it releases more pollution into the atmosphere. It's going to be great. The hippies are going to love that. Oh, well, there you go. You know, it shows you. The Morrison government is urging Chinese authorities to immediately rule out reports of an Australian coal import ban. Chinese state-owned media reported on Sunday that Australia had been shut out of a new coal policy that gave power plants approval to import coal without customs restrictions for every country but ours. The Global Times reported the new policy was designed to stabilize coal prices. I think it's a not so subtle message to Australia. This is the issue, guys. We're a coal and iron ore republic. More than 50 vessels containing hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Australian coal were stuck anchored off Chinese ports last month as trade tensions continued between the two partners. This followed Chinese officials issuing verbal warnings in October to companies to halt buying thermal coal from Australia. I urge Chinese authorities to immediately rule out these reports of what, if accurate, would appear to be the use of discriminatory practices against Australian coal, Trade Minister Simon Birmingham said. We reiterate that all terms of our free trade agreement and world trade obligations between Australia and China should be upheld and respected. Australian coal exports to China were worth $14 billion in 2019. Senator Birmingham said officials had raised concerns with Chinese counterparts and through the World Trade Organization. Major coal importers to China include Australia, Indonesia, Russia, and Mongolia. But Chinese government mouthpiece, the Global Times, wrote Mongolia and domestic producers could take a large share from Australian coal. Well, there has been a boom in construction and activity in Mongolia. You know what? I will have a look. Let's have a look here. We will look at Mongolia. Did I spell that right? We'll have to wait a moment while it loads up. So, Mongolia, the economic complexity is 106 in the world, so they're not more complex than Australia. Their exports are 7.71 billion. Their per capita is 2,430. They're importing 5.7 billion. Now their biggest export is coal, 36.1%, then copper ore at 26%, then gold at 11%. You've got then crude petroleum and iron ore. And they're exporting 82.5% of that to China. Are we even here? What are we? We're 1.1 million. We're hardly anything, everyone. We're nothing. There you go. Look at China. 82.5%, $6.3 billion. So there's definitely potential, you'd imagine, for more exports to China. And their biggest importer is China, followed by Russia. You can have a look here. They're called... What we'll do another one. We'll do a country-by-country comparison, and we'll compare Australia to Mongolia. One of the advantages that Mongolia has, well, is proximity, but it's easy to get stuff on a ship there. It's to do with the rail infrastructure that they have to access Mongolia. Now, I've talked to Mongolians who've immigrated over here to Australia, and I've spoken to people who are working in engineering over there. Ecuador and Liberia. Oh, Liberia is an interesting one, guys. Learn about the history of that country. You know, seriously, if you haven't, I encourage you to do it with all of the advantages that America has, with none of the success. We'll just load this one up once it comes up. We'll see. I mean, let's jump over here while that's going to commodities. What is coal at the moment? Okay, Australia and Liberia, and we'll look at Mongolia. And what is coal sitting at right now? Coal. 83.75 US a ton. So that's doing well. It could also be the US dollar is down at the moment. Look at that. It's skyrocketed. It has just skyrocketed, everyone. We'll look at the 10-year chart. So there we go. So it's come off a low base. It's shooting up. It's shooting up, you know. So does China care about the price? Or do they want to have a diversity of suppliers? So here we go. So we're ranked, our exports to Mongolia, we're ranked 76th. And we'll have their exports to us, they're 26th in the world. So, 26th to us. So there's not really much of a relationship between the two countries. And let's have a look here. We can see these are exports from Australia to Mongolia. You know, electronic boards, liquid pumps, excavation machinery. And from Mongolia to Australia, it looks like the majority is rubber tires, everyone. And here we have the latest data. Here is the trade between Australia and Mongolia. So ours is pretty high. There's all over the place. And we can see here market competitiveness. So in this one, Australia is importing more from China than Mongolia. Mongolia imports more from North Korea than Australia, which, well, isn't entirely surprising. So there you go. It's interesting. They only have a competitive advantage with North Korea. Now here, if we have a look, our comparative advantage, we can see here Mongolia has a higher comparative advantage with rubber tires than Australia, with specialized vehicles and other equipment. Where is iron ore? We've got an advantage with iron ore. So we're down here. We are the more complex economy, everyone. Let's have a look here. We can look at section. And that loads up. So there you go. With the sectors, we've got a bigger advantage. Just because of the scale of our economy, too. But, you know, if they can address the logistics of getting access from there to there, I mean, shipping, it's slow and takes time, but it's really efficient. Really efficient shipping from here up to here. You know, you get it on a ship, you can just run them slower, cheaper, it works. So let's jump here. I mean, if this is what they're doing, it would have to be a political statement. You know. Institute of Energy Economy at the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences director Wang Yongzong was quoted saying Mongolia had a geographic advantage that allowed for lower transportation costs than other exporters. The relationship between China and Australia has been deteriorating, and Australia is gradually losing the Chinese market, he said in the article. Even the US and Canada could be import sources, though they are the last choices of as transportation costs will be very high. China planned to reduce 100 million tons of coal consumption annually by 2030 to finally accomplish its carbon neutral goal before 2060, which means fading demand in the coal market. An absence of Australian coal in China is actually beneficial to all other market suppliers. The move is a further blow to the strained relationship between Australia and its largest trading partner. China last week slapped a sixth Aussie beef exporter with trade restrictions on top of sanctions imposed across goods in several industries, including wine, seafood, and barley. So there we have it, everyone. Another ban. Now this time, coal. What do you reckon? I mean, the question is, how has Australia gotten into this situation? We're so dependent on one trading partner with an authoritarian political system and a centrally controlled economy. Maybe not the smartest thing. What do you think? Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts or opinions in the comments down below. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create here, there are a few ways you can. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or AussieBroadband. You can buy a merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, and I will see you all next time. Bye for now.